All right, so just in everyday terms, okay, slope is the steepness. You need to write this down. Of a line. And it's a ratio, okay? I think it was Kamari or somebody said that slope is equal to rise over run. Well, you see that little M right there? That is an abbreviation for slope. Don't ask me why, Stone. I do not know. Why did they use M for slope? I don't know. Maybe the guy's name was Marino. I don't know. Maybe he had a lot of money. I don't know. But for whatever reason, anytime you see that little M, it means slope, okay? And so when you see it like in an equation, it's slope. If you see it like this, it means slope. Now, the steepness of this line is calculated into a number, okay? And it's actually a fraction, a ratio, and it's a ratio between 2 points and how the steepness changes from one point on the line to the other. Okay, so it's always about 2 points. 2 points on a line. What is the steepness? How do we measure that between those 2 points? Okay, and we do it by looking at the change and how much it goes up or down versus how much it goes left or right. Think about those stadium steps. Okay, there's so much that each step goes up, right? That's the rise. And then there's so much that the step goes this way. That's the run. That's why if anybody that has ever heard these terms before, a riser and a runner, okay, on a set of steps, you have a riser and you have a runner, okay? And the rise is what it goes up and down. The run is what it goes. That's what you actually step on, okay? The run is how much it goes up. The rise is how much it goes in. And so that's what slope is. We take 2 points, any 2 points on the same line, and we measure how much it steps up, the rise, and how much it steps in. That's the run, okay? And so that's where we get the fraction rise over run. If you are given a graph, counting rise over run is going to be the easiest way to find slope. It's going to be just like breathing. You're just going to be able to do it, okay? Anybody else have something else about slope? What else? All right. Nick, anything else you think of?
Undefined and zero lines.
Okay. Now, somebody had said something about that earlier. The slope of special lines are 0 and undefined. Let me show you that right now. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. Somebody had said something earlier. All right. All right, everybody look at these 4 graphs.
You want us to write them down?
You know, yeah, it'd be good if you did, but I'd rather you listen right now, okay? Just listen first, and then you can take notes after that, okay? Everybody take a look at this line right here. This line right here, the equation for it's y equals x. It's a 45-degree line that rises to the right, okay? If you see a line that rises to the right, the slope is positive. Now, that's what you can write down. If it rises to the right, slope is positive. Okay? Now, if it falls to the right, then the slope is negative. Now, this is the way I always used to remember that. Okay, don't laugh at me because it's kind of a stupid Coach Corbin way to remember things. Okay, you read left to right, don't you? Anytime you read left to right. If I read my name, I start with the left, read to the right. Math is the same way. Okay, you read things left to right. Okay, if I am looking at that line, that first line, left to right, it rises to the right. So if you read things left to right and you're going uphill, it's positive. If you're reading left to right and you're going downhill, it's negative. Okay, so if you just get the mindset, reading left to right, uphill is positive, downhill is negative. And I always used to think, okay, going uphill, I'd have to do some positive energy, right? I'd have to be putting some strength into that. Going downhill, I'm kind of getting negative energy right there. I'm kind of moving my feet just because keep from falling, right? So you're not putting any strength into that at all. So rise to the right is positive, that's uphill. Fall to the right is negative, that's downhill. Okay, you remember it however you want to remember it, but it's always good to think, okay, that's a positive slope, that's a negative slope, just by looking at the picture. Now, like Nicholas and somebody else said, we've also got these other two lines. We've got this line, which is called a what? What's that one? Starts with an H. It's horizontal. And then, of course, this one is vertical, okay? Horizontal lines have the slope of 0, okay? So horizontal slope is 0. Vertical the slope is undefined. Now, it's not 0. It's not doesn't exist. It's undefined. And I'm going to show you why here in just a second. Okay, so if it's uphill, rising to the right,
Positive.
it's positive. If it's downhill,
Negative.
it's negative. If it's a horizontal line,
It's 0.
it's 0. Now, I always used to think about that. Think about a speedometer. Okay, now I know a lot of speedometers don't start horizontal, but think about a speedometer starting horizontal, and then when you rev it up, it goes like this, right? But it starts at 0. Think horizontal, 0. Vertical line, it's undefined. And I'm going to tell you why it's undefined here in just a second. Okay? All right. Nick, you got all that, boy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good deal. So let's look at this. All right, everybody get on your graph paper and draw a coordinate plane.
How big is it?
If you got my little sheets like this, just break it up into, or if you got big sheets, just break it up into little ones like that. You don't have to write any numbers, just draw the axes.
Very straight line.
Thank you. Even though I'm gonna have to erase it. There we go. Everybody draw this line. Okay, this line has a steepness to it, okay? And we're going to measure or count what the steepness is by looking at 2 points on the line. We look at 2 points on the line, and we're going to see what the change in the rise is versus the change in the X. In other words, how much does it go up or down versus how much it goes left to right from one point to the next. Now, somebody said something about these 2 points right here. This one and that one. What are those 2 points called?
What about
What are they called?
dots.
This is actually called the y-intercept.
Oh, yeah.
This is actually called the x-intercept.
Really?
Okay? And the reason it's called the x and the y-intercept is real simple. The line intercepts the y-axis at one point. It also intercepts the x-axis at one point. The point where that line crosses the y-axis is called the y-intercept. The point where that line crosses the x-axis is called the x-intercept. Okay? A while ago, when you guys asked me about slope-intercept form, it was y equals mx plus b. Guess what b is?
That's the Y.
That's the y-intercept.
Yeah.
And again, this is why this is such a friend to us, okay? And Mr. Corbin, once again, is not doing very well. If an equation is solved for y, we can find out automatically what the slope is and where this line crosses the y-axis. And I'm going to tell you, that is going to make our life good. All right? When I show you guys next week how to graph, you're going to say, Mr. Corbin, why did you torture us with plug and chug? And some of you may already guess how this is going to work. But this is the y-intercept. This is always the slope if the equation is solved for y. Okay? But most lines have a y-intercept and an x-intercept. Okay, now the x-intercept doesn't show up in the slope-intercept form, but it still exists, and it's still an important thing for us to know. Okay? So, let's go back. What's the slope of that line?
It's a positive.
Definitely going to be positive because it rises to the right. How do we find it?
Well, we could up and over.
Yeah, I saw a lot of you doing that. We're just going to count. Okay? So what I'm going to do, and this is the great thing about slope, it doesn't matter which point you use, you're going to count a stair step. You can start at the top one and go down. You can start at the top one and go left. But here's the thing you got to remember. Anytime you go up, it's a positive direction. Anytime you go down, it's a negative direction. If you go to the right, it's a positive direction. If you go to the left, it's a negative direction. So let me show you what I mean. So start right here at this point or this one, whichever one you want. I'm going to start here. And I'm going to count when I move my pencil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So if slope is rise over run, my rise is 5. And I went up, so it's a positive 5. And now my run. My run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I went to the right, so that's a positive 5.
Would the run be B or
B is the y-intercept. The run is actually how much distance it is from here to here. Okay? Think about a stair step. It has a riser and it has a runner. The rise is how much it goes up to the next step. The run is how far it is away from the next step. And so the slope of this line is equal to 1. Okay?
Are we supposed to is this like something that like gets you into like geometry?
Do what now?
Is this something like to get you into geometry because you're like making a triangle?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. So much in geometry in those right triangles right there. Definitely. Okay? Good observation. Okay, so here's what you got to remember to start with. You got to have 2 points. If they give you a graph, you have to find or get 2 points if they don't give them to you. And you're going to count rise and you're going to count run. Up is positive, right is positive. Down is negative, left is negative. Okay? Let's do another one. Everybody draw this one. Positive or negative slope to start with?
That's a positive.
Definitely going to be positive, rising to the right. Okay, so before I can find the slope of this line, what do I have to have?
You gotta have your X and thing, the two dots.
I got to have 2 points.
Yeah.
I got to have 2 points. Every line has an infinite set of points on it, but I've only got to have 2 to be able to measure slope. Now, Kamari, she may have 2 points down here at the bottom of the line. Okay, Cullen, she may have 2 points up here at the top of the line. Burns, she may have 2 points in the middle of the line. Do you think that the slope is going to change depending on what points you use? Okay, Cullen says no. Anybody want to disagree with her? She could be wrong. Huh? I said what I said was does the slope of the line change depending on what 2 points you use? Burns agrees with it. Huh?
The slope wouldn't change.
Are you sure?
Well, if you did on this side, it would.
So,
Unless you do 2 that are beside each other, they'll be the same. Like if you put them both. So
okay.
if this had 4 dots and you had 2 down here and 2 down here, both of those would be the same. But if you were to do the bottom one and the top one, those 2 would be different from the 2 points.
So you think if I have one line, now we're talking about the same line, okay, and Papineau takes these 2 points, okay, and Stone takes these 2 points, the slope is going to change. Yes or no? The answer to the question is no. The steepness of the line is not going to change no matter where you pick the points, right? As long as it's the same line, these 2 points, 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 it doesn't matter. The slope of the line never changes, does it? If the slope changes, that means it's not a line anymore. It's either a line segment or some type of curve, okay? So here's a trick that they give you on the K-Prep test every year. They'll give you a line and they'll say, do these 2 points on the line have the same slope as these 2 points on the line? And so the trick to that is you got to say the slope of any point on the same line is always going to be the same no matter what points you use. Okay? So that's why I was saying that Mallory, she may use 2 points at the top of the line, okay? And Edens, he may use 2 points at the bottom of the line. But the slope is going to be the same as long as it's the same line. So we got to pick 2 points, okay? And so where do we pick our 2 points? If they don't give you the points, we got to have 2, right?
You put them where the lines intersect with the X and Y axis.
Yes. Well, that you can use those. If what you really want to find, though, is you want to find where the line crosses at a grid point. Okay? Like that right there. You see how that crosses at this grid point? I know that ordered pair. If I picked like that point right there, I mean, what is that point? Is it 1.5? Is it 1 1/3? I don't know. All right. So I'm going to look for points where it crosses the grid line. Okay. Like right there. That crosses at a grid line. Let me see. Boom, crosses at a grid line. Boom, crosses at a grid line. Okay? So I know that those points, it crosses at a grid line. And so I can count. Okay? And so it doesn't matter which of these points you use, the slope is going to be the same. And so here's what you do. You just count. I'm going to do rise over run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my rise. Run 1, 2, 3. What? Well, all you need is 2. I was just showing you that you can use any of them.
So you can put dots anywhere.
Yeah. Well, there's points all over the line. Okay? They're not written. They're not drawn. There's an infinite number of points. You just want to pick points where it crosses a grid line. Okay?
So we don't have to like try to sit here and count the exact same one.
No. Just pick 2. But just pick the points that where the line crosses the grid. Okay, let's say that you picked this point and this point. Okay, well, rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that was that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What does 10 over 6 reduce to?
5 over 3.
5 over 3. And so it doesn't matter. You could pick this point and go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But we went in a negative direction, right?
Can you make that fraction the whole number? Like, yeah, 1 2/3?
We typically leave it in fraction form because we want to use it as a rise over run. Understand what I'm saying? So if we went down and to the left, that means it's negative and negative, but a negative divided by negative is a what?
Positive.
It's a positive. So the point I'm trying hard to make is it doesn't make any difference which 2 points you use, and it doesn't make any difference which one you start with or the direction that you go. You're going to get the same slope as long as you count correctly. Okay? Let's do another one.
My mind's kind of blown right now.
At what?
This, because you can, okay, so whenever you draw a straight line,
Uh-huh.
it don't always go through all the boxes. So like
That's right.
the closest 2 that you have together would have been 5 up and 3 over. That would have crossed.
So all you're doing with the 5 up and 3 over is you're counting the step. You're counting the rise to get to another point on the line. Okay? Pick any 2 points on the line. Now, the reason it's important to pick where it crosses the grid line is so we know it's an even number. Okay? It's not like 5.5 or 5 3/4 because with a hand-drawn graph, we don't know that, right? So pick 2 points where it crosses the grid and to just count rise over run. Stair step it to get to it, and that's your right, or that's your slope.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
This little graph on this paper only goes to 6. That goes to 10.
We'll just make yours to 6.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
And it will be different.
No, it's not going to be different. Yours just isn't going to be as big. Remember, the line goes on infinitely anyhow. We can't draw infinite paper, so we put arrows on the end. Okay, so the first thing I've got to do here is I've got to come up with what? to find the slope? What do I have to have?
Your point.
You got to have 2 points. Now, does this line come with points?
No.
So we got to pick points, right?
Yeah.
So we want to pick 2 points just where it crosses the grid. Well, that looks like a point where it crosses the grid. That looks like a point it crosses the grid, right? Okay. Is this going to be a positive or negative slope?
Negative.
It's definitely going to be negative. So let's do rise over run. What's the rise?
2, 1.
Rise is 1. What's the run?
2.
Positive or negative?
Negative.
Yeah, because we went to the left, right?
Yeah.
So we go up, rise 1, and we run -2. Now, you may have picked those 2 points. Maybe you picked that point and one of these. Let's say you picked that point in this one. Rise 2, 1, 2, 3, run 4. Negative direction, it's still -1/2, right? Maybe you started at this point and went down. It goes down 1 to the right 2,
Still negative.
still -1/2. Okay, so let's talk about, I told you guys we'd come back to this. Let's talk about our vertical line. Okay? Let's pick 2 points on it and find the slope. There's a point, and there's a point. Okay? And we know that m is equal to rise over run. We know that slope is that ratio, right? So what's the rise?
It is
1,
2,
2,
4.
3, 4.
And
Now what's the run?
over 0. If you run 9.
Now what's up with that?
It's just 4. However much you rise, that's you don't have a direction. It makes it whole.
No, because make a whole
I'm
number.
just guessing.
It's gotta be 4 over 1 to make a whole number. Like 4 over 4.
Okay,
That's a
right.
whole number.
No, it'll be 0.
Got a calculator on your desk?
No,
Do any number divided by 0.
you get
And what?
0.
Okay, yeah, 0.
It's 0? What'd you get, Burns?
It says divided.
What'd you
by-
get, Colin?
Math error.
Yeah, that's what it says for me.
What'd you get, Pat?
0.
Okay. You got to get this. You can never, ever, ever, never, never,
Divide
ever,
anything by 0.
ever, never, ever, never, never, ever, ever, never, ever divide by 0. Okay? This slope is undefined.
Oh, that's why I got mixed up.
This is a vertical line, and this is, I think Nick was talking about this earlier. With vertical lines, you have an undefined slope because the run is 0,
We just put
and
that
you
in
can't
there.
divide by 0. Okay? You cannot divide by 0. It is undefined. There's not a calculator or computer that can figure that. It is undefined.
I want to see what they do with the calculator.
So here's basically what you have.
Well, it says error.
You have 0 in the denominator. That's always bad, undefined. It's not the same thing as 0. It's not the same thing as does not exist. It is undefined.
I know.
All right, now let's do this.
Hold it on.
You might not see. Not really.
That's 0.
Okay, so let's say that we have a point here.
Yep.
And let's say we have a point there.
Don't rise.
Okay?
You run.
M is equal to rise over run. What's the rise?
There's not.
It's 0, right?
Yes.
You don't go up or down to get from this point. What's the run? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's the slope?
0.
Okay. 0 in the numerator is good. 0 in the denominator is bad.
Bad.
Okay. If you have 0 in the numerator, that's good. Your answer is just 0. If you have 0 in the denominator, it is undefined. You cannot divide by nothing. Now, the ironic thing is that you can divide into nothing, but you can't divide by nothing. And don't ask me to explain that. I don't know if I can. But 0 in the denominator is bad, undefined. Okay? That's why vertical lines have undefined slope. So when they ask you on the K-Prep test, what is the slope of this vertical line and why, you say it is undefined, and you say because you cannot divide by 0. Okay? All right. Running out of time, aren't we?
I'll be back. What time we leave this class? 1:05?
1:15.
12 minutes. Oh, you gave us points this time.
My gift to you, Edens. Find the slope. Nick, can you still see it okay?
I can.
Everybody find the slope.
Okay, would that count as rising when you, can you rise when you go down too?
What?
What? If you went like straight down like right here,
Uh-huh.
would you still rise right there? Same
Rise
thing?
can go down. It's
Yeah.
just is what does that make the sign?
Negative.
There you go. You guys got it?
Yes.
All right. Once you get this, it's going to be like riding a bicycle. It's just real simple. Okay. So you see where these points, the points that they picked, it's where the line crosses at a grid line, right? See, they didn't pick a point like that right there because we don't know what that point is. I know that this point is 6, -3, right? So it's just smart to go ahead and pick those points, and you just rise over run. Let's start over here, or do you want to start on the upper one? You want to start upper or lower?
Lower.
Okay. You want to go left or right, or up or down first?
Up.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is rise 4, positive, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive or negative?
Negative.
Why? you're going to the left. Remember, left and down are negative, up and right are positive.
I got 4.
And that's it. What?
I got 4 somehow.
-4?
No. Like,
You miscounted.
Yeah, make sure you don't. A lot of people miscount because they start counting before they move their pencil. Don't move your pencil or don't count until you move it. So, like, I'm going to go 1, 2,
yeah, that's
3,
what I did.
4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So is it all right that I got -4 over 5?
Yep. Remember, in division, if one is if signs are different, then your answer is negative, right? So it doesn't matter if the negative goes with the 4 or it goes with the 5. And if you started over here, the negative would be with the 4, right? Because you would rise down. Okay, let's do another one. Did you figure it out, Miss Cullen?
No, I did not.
No, you did not.
Because if
And overthinking this.
I'm not,
Did you draw your line the same?
pretty much similar, yes.
Well, it can't be similar. It's got to be the same.
I ain't
I
drawing.
had mine,
I ain't drawing a lot of windows on myself.
and then it's 5 there.
See if your points are at 1, 1 and 6, -3.
They are.
Then what do you count? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, do you guys remember seeing this?
Look. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why is it on the way?
Because that's how straight my line's gonna get.
Should be open.
Okay, but look, that intersects there already. So what do you do with your line? How do you draw the exact same line?
And what are you talking about?
Can we have lessons on how we're supposed to draw our lines on here?
Yeah. What you need to do, see these points right here?
Mm-hmm.
1, 1 and 6, -3. Draw those points and then draw your line.
That's what I did, so I have no clue why this is wrong.
That's how you get the same line. Just pick the same 2 points that they picked.
What if you do it and you're supposed to pick points?
Then it'll end up being the same. But you're talking about drawing a line right now. You want to try to mimic the same line. Okay, so we know that this slope is -4/5, right?
Wait, I just said negative.
Well, it's either -4/5 or 4 over -5. Either one's the same, right?
Yeah.
Because signs are different, your answer is going to be negative. Okay, so what if we don't have a graph? Is there a way to find the slope just based on 2 points? Well, the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what we do. We take the 2 points. This point right here is 1, 1, right? And this one is 6, -3. Do you guys remember seeing this formula on any of the videos?
Yeah, I do, because he was using a bunch of crazy colors.
Okay. So that is the slope formula given 2 ordered pairs. In other words, if you have just 2 points and you need to find the slope, we don't want to have to graph it and then do rise over run. We just want to be able to find the slope. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. Each of these ordered pairs has an X and a Y in it, right? Like that one has an X, that one has an X, that one has a Y, that one has a Y. These 2s and these 1s, all they're doing is saying it's the first ordered pair and it's the second ordered pair. That's all they're saying. So that's the first ordered pair. That's the second ordered pair. That's all that means. Okay? So this looks kind of funny. I mean, it looks kind of hard, but all it is rise over run. It's just written as, instead of with a graph, it's written with 2 points that are on the line. Okay? So what you do is you take the second y, -3, and subtract the first y. Then you take the second x and subtract the first x. -3 minus 1 to -4. 6 minus 1 is 5. So you have two different ways to find slope. If you're given a graph, obviously the easiest thing to do is to just count, right? Do rise over run, boom, we got it. But they will also ask you to find slope given 2 points. And if you're given 2 points, write them down, do x, y over top, and then you decide which one's the first one, which one's the second one. And it doesn't matter. It's going to come up the same. Just do x, y, x, y. This is the first ordered pair. This is the second ordered pair. Plug it into the formula. Where do students get mixed up on this? They're not careful with the negative signs. So be careful with the negative signs. Sometimes they forget which one's is x, which one's y. Y always goes in the numerator, x in the denominator. All right, let's see if we can't do another one.
Can we do one without the graph?
Yep. Next on my mind. All right. So first thing you do, write down your formula. Y equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And by the way, they don't give this formula to you. You've got to memorize it. It's just a fancy way to write rise over run. It's the change in y coordinates over change in the x coordinates. Hey, we'll pick up there next week. Love you guys. Nick, we'll see you, buddy.
Y'all ready for your science test?
Are you set?
I have my whole study guide written down.
Same. We got the answers.
I don't
But
know.
we also said that there's more questions. I know, it's like, yeah, it's always different though, when you do it. 'Cause I don't think it's just very different, but that's what. I said there's something.
Craig said he didn't study over that. Study got hit.
Landon said it would be the He said he got like 100. And how did Danny make a study? We can't say each
I know,
other.
it's not the all the time.
See you, Pat.
Wow.
Can't believe Christy.
I thought I was gonna
Bye. What's up?
Oh, yeah, yeah.